Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Acta Verba podcast. Today, I am very excited because we have another guest that I'm so happy to have. It's been a long time since we had a guest. So finally, we're coming back. This time, we're going to welcome Matthew Stafford, the CEO of Build, Grow, Scale, a pioneer in e-commerce optimization with over 3 decades of experience. Through his company, Matthew has helped numerous business scale past $3 million mark with an exceeding 10 million in revenue. He specializes in refining customer engagement strategies, boosting conversion rates, and maximizing profitability through data-driven methodologies. With expertise in e-commerce, AI, and remarketing, Matthew provides actionable insights to optimize the customer journey and increase sales, offering value to both established brands and those aiming for growth. So this episode, guys, I'm so pumped because we're going to delve into so many things e-commerce. So if you own a business or you yourself are a marketer, this episode is for you.
Welcome to the Acta Verba podcast. I'm Mitzi, and here we'll talk about business, freelance, mindset, education, episodes in English and Spanish every week.
Matthew, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I am so pumped about this podcast. We've been talking off camera, and now for people listening, why should they stay and listen to you? What are they going to take from this podcast?
Well, hopefully, I'm excited to have this conversation too, but hopefully we'll give them some actionable insights that they will be able to do very easily, and it will make a marked difference in the revenue that their website generates.
I love it. And now for people who don't know you, like they already know a little bit about you from the insights that I gave them. But if you could shortly introduce yourself, what you do for those who don't know you, that would be great.
Yeah, for sure. So I own a company called Build, Grow, Scale, and what we do is essentially conversion rate optimization or the UX, UI of websites in order to help them convert more. And so the way that I describe that is I just tell people traffic is not your problem. Most people's websites convert around 2 or 3%. And that means for every 100 visitors that come to your website, 97 left without buying. And most people think I need more traffic. And to me, that felt very counterintuitive. I was like, no, if I could get 2 or 3 more of those 97 people that raised their hand and already came to my site to buy, that would double my business on the same amount of ad spend. And it brought up that quote that Dan Kennedy used to say, he who can spend the most to acquire the customer wins. And if I'm getting 6 sales for every 100 visitors and they're getting 3, I can now spend more money on traffic and dominate my market space. And over the last 10 years, that's literally what we've taught our clients to do. And we've done it for our own brands. And we've created very predictable success.
I love that you say that because you're talking about one of the topics that resonate the most with for me, that I love the most about what I do, which is CRO. I love conversion rate. I feel like there's so much money left there that people are leaving on the table. Now, I would like to ask you, from what you're seeing usually with your clients in the market, usually maybe benchmarking, what are some quick wins that businesses can implement to improve and increase that conversion rate on their site? Like, if you had to pick and choose from the top of your head, the 3 most important things that they could be optimizing.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you 3. The first one that we do whenever we start working with a new store is on the thank you page, right after someone has just bought, we put a little pop-up that says, what was the one thing that almost made you not buy? And so those people who just gave you money and are expecting their product are going to tell you what was confusing, what they didn't like, maybe where there was some friction or it wasn't very clear, and they tell you that. And so then we take those responses and we go back and we fix those areas of the website. And I can tell you over the last few years, that's probably been responsible for 5 or 6 of the biggest wins that we've had on our clients' websites, which is millions and millions of dollars in revenue from those changes. So that's a very simple thing that anybody with a website that converts people can do. Just ask the question, what is the one thing that almost made you not buy?
Wow, I love that idea. Like I never thought of doing that, and I actually I'm super curious now. What is the usual response rate that you get from people? Because they, of course, they probably can click, like they can opt out and just not
Yeah,
respond. But what is the usual conversion rate that you see from that pop up?
probably 20, 30% of people will answer it. And we typically want, about 100 responses or more. And then we just leave it running. And so we're always monitoring what people are telling us about that almost prevented them from buying. And, a lot of times you'll get price, but that's like, we're not going to change the price. But so there's a lot of other factors there. In fact, one of the examples is we have a company that sells um, digital training. And so they have a VSL. And so people watch this video, it's about 30 minutes. And then at the end, they buy. And they do a huge amount of volume, 60 million plus. And we got about 500 responses, roughly. And like 427 of them were that the video was too long. So uh, we asked them about that, and they're like, "No, we can't shorten the video. Every time we've done that, the conversions go down, and it costs more money." And so we asked them. I asked them, Do you watch your videos on 1x speed, or do you speed them up?" And they're like, "No, we speed them up." I said, "Well, would you be willing to give them the opportunity to speed up the video so they could watch it like at 1.2 or 1.5?" And so they did that and they got a 10% lift. So that particular optimization for them was worth about $6 million.
Wow, you saved them $6 million just by
Yeah, well, we made them
allowing
6 million. Yeah,
It's crazy. It's crazy.
yeah.
I love that. Now, and what are some other things that people usually tell you? Because yes, price is one thing that I feel like, well, maybe that could be fixed with a better offer, but that always depends on the client and how willing they are to improve the perceived value of their offer. But other than offer, which will pretty much depend on the business itself, is there anything else that you see across the board? Like, for example, something that I see myself with the work that I do. I usually see that the images, if we're talking mostly when it comes to e-commerces, the images are crazy how much they can improve your CRO. Just the carousel, and if you're
Yes.
adding features, benefits, you can add copy that converts in within the pictures. And the more visually appealing you make them, the better. And then other things like how long the page takes to load. I know that, and I've had this conversation so many times with designers, because I do copywriting and I do CRO, and it's always like that thing with, oh, the page has to look nice, but it doesn't have to be so well curated, in the sense that it loads and it takes such a long time for it to load, and that can kill your conversion a little bit. So what's your
Yeah,
take on it?
100%. I like you took the words right out of my mouth. Those are very, very important. What I would say, um, the easiest wins that you'll get is one, surveying people who just gave you money. They'll give you real answers. The people who did not give you money, emailing them and asking them questions, that information is about worthless. But so the images and the copy on the page, those are the two quickest wins. And I always say that every thumbnail that you put up needs to provide value. So you don't just want like 4 lifestyle images, because then what they're doing is they're spending a whole bunch of time clicking on images. And I call that click debt. You want them to be adding to cart and going through the checkout, not clicking and scrolling through a bunch of images. So if you give them a good lifestyle shot, a good shot that like shows the product in comparison to something else, so that it gives them a mental image of it. And then obviously, like what you said, I love like infographics where it shows the image and has little points about what makes their product unique. And And certainly if it's like supplements, which we were talking about before we got on camera, um, the number one most clicked on thumbnail is the ingredients. And so having a really good ingredient image, which it's shocking how many people have a picture of their bottle, and it's actually so far away that when you click on it, you still can't read what the ingredients are. And we know that's the number one most clicked on thing. And so it literally provides no value, and people want to know what they're putting in their body. So between that, that's how I would break down the images. When you get to the copy, like you were speaking of, I would say you have to be very careful to not give them walls of text. And what I mean by that is big, long, huge descriptions. People really don't like to read. They like to browse and then see what's relevant to them and find their answer. And if you force them to read through a whole bunch of information in order to find their particular answer they're looking for, you'll lose a lot of people doing that. And so we love tabs or progressive disclosure where the main categories are behind a specific tab, and then click it and look at the ones that is kind of what helps them make a buying decision. And by doing that, you can keep all that information up above the fold. And so I would say that's another thing. Uh, Another principle that we talk about all the time is a hierarchy of focus, meaning each page has its next most important action. And so on your product page, the next most important action would be add to cart. So we would have the button say add to cart, not buy now, not quick add. And I see those things all the time. And you're asking for more commitment from the person than the stage of the buying process that they're in. And so we always have found it's not the button color that really matters, it's the text on the button. And then the part about the button color that does matter, that goes back to that hierarchy of focus, is that it stands out. So if your theme is black and yellow, you don't use black and yellow buttons. You use a green button or a blue button or an orange button, something that is totally opposite to everything else on the page, so that when they're looking at that page, that is the thing that their mind sees as the next most important action that they're going to take after they make a decision.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Now, you're talking about buttons. I was just stalking you on LinkedIn, and I just saw one of your latest posts, which says, quick buy buttons aren't always quick wins. They skip the most important part of the sale, which is trust. And I feel like that really encapsulates beautifully how you just said that, because you're absolutely right. Like, they are not yet in that part of the sell. Probably they're still not completely aware of the product. They're just seeing if they're going to buy or not. And I feel like some people treat, especially when clients come from ads and they're completely unaware of the brand, it is very different when they are aware of the brand. And this is actually something that I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned PDPs, and I want to talk like the difference between a product page and a sales page. But I feel like it really depends on where they're at in their customer journey. What do you have to do? Like, how much are you asking from them? How much information are you giving them? Like, for example,
Yeah, I I see a lot of times on the homepage you'll see quick add or buy now and things like that. And so I always ask the store owner, does that person maybe say that, just for this example, say that their average order value is $100. I'm like, so does your customer have enough information on that thumbnail to make $100 buying decision? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, that's what you're asking them to do. So you want your buttons to actually be micro commitments. If they're on the homepage, see more, learn more, more options, things like that, get them to go, oh, okay, it's not just this, or more colors, or different things like that, where they go, oh, I'm curious, I want to see more. And then when they click it, they're actually excited to do it, instead of they're not ready to buy right now. And so when the button says buy, a lot of times they won't click it because they don't know where it's taking them. And I don't consider the people to be buyers until they put the stuff in their cart. I consider them to be browsers all the way until they add to cart. Once they add to cart, then I want to treat them like a buyer, and I want them to complete the sale. I'm not going to show them a whole bunch of upsells and do a bunch of other things because we've tracked that data. And once they're in the cart, if if you have a no-brainer add-on, like we worked with Choose Muse, which is a meditation device that you wear, and it's about a $250 product. They have a case for it that's like $35. And so that was a really, really good upsell of, hey, they just added this to their cart, this $230 thing. Here's a $30 case that will protect it. They don't have to go look at the case. They don't have to understand, what it's made out of, anything. They can just go, okay, this is made for this device, and it's very obvious. And they got about a 70% take rate with it. So it was an excellent one. But we also see ones like where they're selling ladies fashion, and then they put shoes or perfumes or different things like this in there. And I'm like, no, what happens is now they have to click on that product, go look at it. And so now they've left the buying experience to become a browser again. And during that, yes, some people will add it. So your average order value will go up a little bit. But the problem is you're actually losing customers long term. And so I would rather have the customers because we offer really nice products and then we can market to them again and again and again. All those people that are exiting because I was trying to get those extra sales in there, I don't. I now have to pay to get them to my site again because a lot of times they end up leaving.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen that with a few clients that I had to explain the reasons like why we should not add this product because it has nothing to do with what we're trying to push right now. And sometimes it's I think it's our job as marketers to explain the clients because sometimes we do have clients that maybe they created their own brand because they became famous on social media and they're great at what they do, but they're not great at marketing them their own products, and that's
Right.
where you people like you and I come in to help them out. But I feel like and this is something that I want to ask you, um from your perspective, and if we can use any example because in e-commerce I feel like this goes for every brand because even if you're selling let's say clothing or you're selling beauty products or you're selling I don't know supplements, you will always have an upsell, a downsell, or a cross sell. Now, when do you think it's wise not to do it? To not have an upsell, a downsell, or a cross sell? And when do you think would be wise to do it to increase AOV?
Yeah, so we've tested that a lot, and we actually even created our own apps for Shopify because it works so well. On the product page, where they can click and add a product there, is the best place, and that doesn't hurt conversions. So we're very, very data driven. When they add it on the product page, the upsell, uh, we make sure that it's very congruent with the main product on the page so that when they add both, it puts them into the cart, and then from there they check out. We've watched thousands of videos of people, and another thing that we noticed is a lot of people will add multiple products to the cart and then go shop in the cart. So they'll put 4 or 5 products in there, and then they'll go into the cart and look at the ones, remove the ones they don't want, and then check out with what they want. So we really try to help them make the decisions in the product page area. And then once they're in the cart, we actually want them to go ahead and then move into becoming a buyer or a client where now we get to market to them over and over and over.
Great. Now, you mentioned that you guys are very data driven, and I want to ask you, what are some key metrics? Let's say that Joe is watching this and he has his own business. What are the key metrics that every e-commerce business, if they own a business or if they're hiring or working with someone, what are the key metrics they should track? Because I feel like for someone getting started and maybe they're thinking about bringing in someone like you or me to help them out, what do you and your team usually track? Because, like I said, there are so many. Like you have ROI, you have AOV, you have ROI, CPM, CPA. Like, and for someone getting started, that can be really complicated. So, if you had to say like top three or top five, if you wanted to, that you usually have you and your team just have a look at it, what would those be?
Yeah, I like revenue per visitor. I think that tells you how well the site is performing. and I feel like it's more accurate than conversion rate because your conversion rate can fluctuate a lot from day to day or week to week, and I mean, we can raise your conversion rate by putting everything on sale. Your
Mhm.
conversion rate's going to go up, but that doesn't necessarily give you what you're looking for. And so, revenue per visitor over time is a really good metric to understand how healthy your website is. Um, I definitely am very aware and track how many people are adding to cart and then how many people from that stage are dropping off because that tells you different places that the store is broken. If the add to cart is very low, then it means that the product pages need more work and we work on those. Or if when they do add to cart, but then they convert less than 50% of those, we know that the cart needs some help and work. And so we're always looking at what part of the business is underperforming, and then we'll try to shore that up first. And we always tend to work backwards. So a lot of store owners always want to work on their homepage so that they think that's what everybody sees. But what actually matters is where the transaction takes place. And so we optimize the checkout, then we optimize the cart, then we
Mhm.
optimize the product page. Because if we optimize your homepage, but your category page sucks or you don't have good filters, then you didn't make any more money. You just got more people onto the next page.
Yeah.
And if we go the other way, where we fix the number of people that are actually giving you money at the final transaction, each time we go backwards, that's going to push more revenue through that part of the funnel. And so it gives you the ability to stay in business longer while you're figuring out the different areas of your business.
Yeah, and I love that you're mentioning that because I was actually that was uh that was something I wanted to ask you, and it was actually it was the following question you just mentioned it. Um, when it comes to the cart abandonment, I feel like most businesses usually once they have people's attention and they went past through the above the full section, they read the sales page or the PDP and they're like, yes, I'm buying this, and they add it to the cart. I feel like so many businesses are overlooking the checkout. And from a CRO perspective, it's like all of the attention is put as like, the meme with like the woman holding the baby and someone's drowning. I feel like the really the checkout is drowning for most people. And when you go actually and see their checkout looks like, it needs so much love. And I don't know what you have to say about it. Like if you have any tips for people who want to improve the checkout process. From the top of my head, I can think of a few things that it's crazy how I mean how basic it is, but how very few people do it. Just to add like a secure checkout message, like just to have people know that they can put in their card details and not have their data stolen. Or I don't know if you're accepting Visa or Amex or whatever you have. And so many people are lacking this, and I feel like it's one of the single most important parts of the whole journey because that's when people are paying you. That's when they're becoming customers.
Yeah, I think it's the most important part because we're not in business to be in business. We're in business to make money. And so profit's not a dirty word. You need that in order to continue to serve the clients at a high level. And so, yes, I agree. That is the number one area that needs looked at and cleaned up first. And when you do that, that gives you more revenue. So now you can live to fight another day. And I would say another area that everybody on this call can do if they have a website is the form fields. So 99.9% of every store I've ever looked at, they say email and then address and phone number. Well, we track how many errors are in those form fields because we're trying to optimize every part of the experience. When we put text inside the form field, we've reduced the errors by almost 300%. And so instead of just asking for email, we say email required for order confirmation. Well, now instead of them giving you their spam email or misspelling it, they give you their very best one because your email order confirmation is open to 85% of the time. So now they're like, oh yeah, I want to see my order confirmation. So they give you their good email. And we ended up, like I said, reducing the form field errors, but we also improved our abandoned recovery because now we're sending the abandoned cart emails to their good email instead of their secondary or third email. And so what we realized is, okay, well, SMS is also very good for recovery. Let's change the text in there. And so we put phone required for shipping notification. Who doesn't want to know when their product is shipping? And so what now by putting that in there, now they give you their good phone number, and our abandoned SMS recovery went up, and we have a lot better email or phone number list that we can send SMS to. So those two changes and the question, what's the one thing that almost made you not buy? We've seen 30-40% increases in people's stores by doing that in that section, and it makes a huge difference in the impact.
Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna take the why you almost not bought our product, because I really love that. I've never seen that before, and I can't wait to check it out. So I'm gonna steal that from you.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
now that you're mentioning the email, that you make me want to go into something else. So when we were talking to have you on the podcast, we talked about also retargeting and everything that has to do with remarketing. Where does the email come in? At least for you, I don't know, your company, or what you would tell someone listening to us if they have a business and now they captured those leads. Now they have that, they can build an actual good email list. And I feel like, because I mean, people put so much money into ads, which is great because that's your lead acquisition. But if you don't turn those one-time buyers into, every month buyer if you can, or every 3 month buyer, then you're just wasting money, because
Yeah,
it is
for sure.
expensive. Now,
Yeah, oh, go
what's
ahead.
your strategy when it comes to retargeting?
Yeah, I believe that a healthy metric for your email should be between 25 and 40% of your revenue. So what I mean by that is if you're doing 100,000, between 25 and 40,000 of that should be coming from your email list. And if you're doing that, you have some healthy metrics because those emails, you're not spending the customer acquisition cost again. Those are people that you've already got their data, and many times they're one-time buyers, and you can turn them into repeat buyers. So I believe your email matters a lot. Uh, Building a relationship with these people so that they when you're top of mind awareness, and if you barely ever email them because you're worried that they'll unsubscribe, and so you're not talking to them, a lot of times they buy from your competitor who is talking to them all the time, and you just make this assumption that they're going to unsubscribe. Well, the truth of the matter is, if they want to unsubscribe, you want them to, because you're paying to have them on a list, and if you're not marketing to that list, then you're literally just burning your money.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. And email should never be overlooked. I had a client. It's a big brand. We're talking millions, but a single email. I remember 2 years ago, I think I wrote a single email that generated 3 million. We're talking a big list and a lot of
Yeah,
segmentation, but this goes to show, like, don't be scared of using those emails. And if you have a business and you're listening to this podcast, Matthew and I are telling you, like, use your email, because a big chunk of your money will come from there. And not just that, also, I mean, I feel like when it comes to, like you said, I mean, if you're scared of them unsubscribing, they're actually making you a favor, because you do want to clean your lists every once in a while, because then
yeah,
you will stay with your loyal buyers, and you can keep retargeting them at a very low cost, comparing it to ads, which are still needed, and it's a very big important part of your business model if you have an e-commerce business. But I feel like that should never be overlooked. Email is, I feel like, it's the single most important part of a business, to be honest, these days.
yes, I agree.
And talking about emails, there's a concept that I love, which is life cycle marketing. How do you feel is the best way to keep people engaged, even though they're, let's say that we have them in our email list, and they do not unsubscribe, but they don't buy, but they stick around. how can we add value to them if we're talking about an e-commerce brand? Because I feel like what happens with many brands is they become too it's like they always say the same thing, they're always showing you the same thing, so you have to add some value in the emails. So I don't know if
Yeah, I
that's
think if you
part of the
don't, they learn you're actually conditioning them not to open them. Because if every time that you send them an email is to try to get them to buy and you're not communicating or building the relationship through any type of content, now they know, well, I'm not in a buying mood right now, so I'm not even going to read the email. And they'll just literally zone it out. But if you have fun, interesting things and make it um, engaging to read the emails, you give them a reason to that's not buy, 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 buy. You will actually end up selling way more than if all you ever do is try to sell.
Yeah. And in your experience, what would you say it's a good cadence for e-commerce?
I think the only days that you don't want to make money, you shouldn't send emails. So um, essentially, you should send an email every day. The people who send an email every day make the most money. It's been proven over and over and over. It doesn't mean that you'll be shocked at how many content emails that have no sales, no offer, no anything in them generate all kinds of sales because uh, you're building a relationship with them and then they'll click through onto the website and buy. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I really recommend that you email every day.
Okay. And now this is I'm curious because I'm I don't agree there 100%. I do know that yes, it is true. Brands that send emails every single day, they're the ones like making the most money, and I know because I work with them. But at the same time, I feel like in order to take care of their list, not their list mostly, their domain. That's what I care about, their domain. I do know that they had to pay for whitelisting. Do you think that's the case for everybody, or do you think you can get away with it without having to pay for any whitelisting services?
Yeah. So what I would say is you're not emailing the entire list every day.
Mm.
You're emailing the most engaged people on the list every day. The people who open, every third email, maybe you're only sending them one or two emails a week. So the segmentation matters a lot, but so you're not mailing the entire list every day. And so, yeah, I'm glad that you said that, and I could clarify it a little bit more. You're emailing your most engaged people every day, and they're looking forward to that. That's why they're opening them all, and you can see what who's opening, who's not, and who's responding. And yeah, list hygiene has a lot to do with your sendability scores. And so we're always trying to put tells in there that get the people to respond, because when you get a response, the ISPs see that as a conversation. And so when they do that, rather than just promote, 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 you'll actually get better deliverability.
Yeah, otherwise it would just land in promotions, and we don't want that,
Yeah,
or spam, even worse. Now,
yeah.
Matthew, before we move into the next topic, which I know that you talk a lot about AI, and I really want to ask you like about tools that you can use and how we can use that. But before we move there, um, I this is a question that I should have asked before when we were talking about the funnels. But coming back to the funnels, before we move on with AI, how do you usually tell? And maybe this has to do with AI, and that could be our entrance to the topic. But how do you usually tell what funnel should you go for? Because I feel like depending on the customer journey, where they're at, how aware they are of your brand, of their problem, they maybe they don't even know that they have a problem, or there's your solution that you're selling. How do you know if you're like, okay, you know what? I feel like it will be best if we just send people to, I don't know, we should have a video ad or an image static ad, or after that we should do an advertorial, or we should have a quiz, or we should just send them to the PDP or a sales page. How do you track that data? How do you make that call?
Yeah, so we would just do it based off of the results that they're getting now. We don't run any traffic at all. Our company basically works from when someone lands on the website until they give you money. And so what we can do is we're tracking where they're clicking, how far they're scrolling, what they're looking at, which videos, what header navigation, all of that, because we want to see their path and where they're falling off. And so if they're sending traffic to a page, we're looking at that and seeing how the page is performing, and we can say, hey, this traffic's working really good. This is not working. Shut those ads off. Double these ones. We can do that. But as far as like where they're going to send them, um, I think that that's very contextual. It depends on the promotion that they're running, and like you said, if it's top of funnel traffic, they're probably not product aware, or some of them are now product aware, but they're not problem aware, and so there's different things, and all of that gets addressed on the page based off of who they're sending.
Mhm. Okay, yeah, makes a lot of sense. And it was a very open-ended question because it depends on the client, it depends on the product,
Sure.
depends on
Yeah.
so many
Yeah,
things.
I always say that websites are very contextual. It depends on who your demographic is that you serve, and those buyers or those particular people are going to interact with the website a certain way. And
Mhm.
so we want the data of how they're interacting with it because they leave patterns and clues, and we're going to take those clues. The areas that are working really well, we're going to go look at those on the website and go, okay, what's making this work so well? How do we now take that winning element and put it in more places on the website so that there's other places that are, giving back those oversized returns.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, oh, how do I start with this? Yeah, I feel like every time that I open social media, it doesn't matter what social media it is. It's like there's a new AI, there's a new prompt, there's a new anything AI related. Is like it's revolutionizing the way that we're working so much that I feel like at this point we're like you either use it or you lose because everybody and their mother are using it. So I want to ask you how do you use it in your company? How have you seen what's the impact that you've seen from using AI? How do you use it?
Yeah, so because we're so data driven, the really huge advantage is we can now have it analyze a lot more data that we were not it was not humanly possible. So we can take like 2 or 3 years worth of customer reviews, put them into a CSV, and then load it into the large language model and say, uh, and we've got really good at asking it, um, what are the things that they're talking about? What are the messages that, um, what are the patterns that you see that we've never thought of as a human? What are the psychographics based off of these responses? And I will tell you, the better you get at interacting and the better questions that you ask, the information that you get back is outstanding. And we're going through websites that we've been optimizing for 7 or 8 years long with our clients, that convert already like 5-6% and getting huge wins now because of being able to look at the sheer amount of data that we could never do as a human, using AI to do it and finding like insights that we would just never have available to us.
Yeah, that's exactly what I love about AI. It's just that it is in, it's just humanly impossible to check so much data. It'll take you forever, but this is just helping you so much. Just make things faster and arrive to conclusions that maybe you would have reached out to if you spent a good chunk of your time just going through it and having your whole team do it themselves. Like it just doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. Having this opportunity now, it's like we need to
Yeah.
use it and we need to learn how to use it to our advantage. Now I want to ask you, when you say when you're talking about AI, are you talking about ChatGPT, or do you find did you find that there's a better chatbot to actually go through data?
We use both ChatGPT and Gemini. Uh, we really like Gemini because it has Google Shopping, it has all of the websites, a lot of data, and you can put more tokens in it. So I would say uh, we use both, and I don't really have a favorite one. I definitely believe over time that for the e-commerce environment, that Google will eventually win because of how integrated they are into the websites and also just the Google Shopping. I noticed now Shopify has done a integration with ChatGPT so that now you can literally convert and buy products right through ChatGPT in the process. And so it's really been super instrumental in the shopping experience and actually being able to break down the data. I think those two are going to end up winning.
Wow. I never got to play around a lot with Gemini. Now you made me want to actually to go through and see the data. Yeah, I usually use ChatGPT and Claude, but Claude is not really good for data.
Yeah,
But
Claude's
yeah, I'm
great for
just gonna have a
writing.
look. Yeah, it is. It's actually, I think it's a little better. If you prompt it well, it's better than ChatGPT.
Yeah,
From what I've seen, it creates really good copy.
yeah.
I don't buy it fully because I'm a copywriter and I'm like, oh, yeah, this could be better, but it's really really good. Now, something that I wanted to ask you about AI is how do you feel about predictive analytics with AI and machine learning? Do you think that you can predict analytics with AI? Other than just going through the data and seeing what's working right now, do you think that you can use that to see what could be working in the future? Do you use
I
any
do.
information?
Yeah, we actually ask it. We've been playing with it and saying, "Hey, our average order value is $100, and our conversion rate is 2.5%. We would like to have $130 average order value, and we would like to convert at 3%. Can you please look at all of this data and give me a 90-day roadmap to how I would add value, how I would increase my average order value and conversion rate?" And it's actually really good at giving you an action plan and very good um, optimization tips. And you use that and go back and start working through the process.
Wow. I can't wait to test it all out. Like really, it's great. And for everybody listening, I hope that you're taking the notes because this is pure gold. Um, Matthew, I really don't want to take much of your time. We've been talking for a while now, but I don't want to leave you without asking this question. Um, Going back to the landing pages and the sales pages and the PDPs, I feel like something that that we both care about deeply, especially when it comes to conversions, is the UX and the UI of the page. And I want to ask you, what are some things when it comes to UX and UI that you saw? Hey, we changed this, and this page blew, like it blew up. Things they, I don't know, the conversion rate improved. I don't know, anything that you can think of
Yeah.
from the top of your head.
Yeah, so I would say we kind of touched on it a little bit. The progressive disclosure, which is tabs, so that you can get more information up above the fold. The other thing is, I always say clarity trumps persuasion. And so, a lot of times, if you're trying to be very persuasive, you actually a lot of times generate more questions. And
Hmm.
I say that a confused buyer doesn't buy. Usually, the people that come to your site and leave, it's either they don't trust you or they have unanswered questions. And a lot of times, I see that the people are actually the ones raising the questions because they're trying to put too much information on the page. And so I always default to clarity. Is it so simple that Homer Simpson would understand it? And if it's that, you're going to end up with much better conversions than a whole bunch of fancy stuff trying to make it look pretty.
I love that. I love the Homer Simpson analogy. Like, really, I'm going to take it. Finally, last question I want to ask you because, yeah, talking about that and also being super pushy. How do you feel about sticky banners and sticky CTAs in general? Do you love them or do you hate them?
I don't like them. I think that they interrupt the buying process. And if the page is done really well, you don't need them to do that. Most of the time, uh, I would default to what's the 20% that gets us 80% of the way and really nail that down. And I'll guarantee you that you will have much better conversions than your competitors, just from the simple fact of your site is very easy. They can find what they're looking for, and they don't have to go through this hidden maze of customer service complaints and things. All these other things. What happens is people they do their own customer service. And so every time someone writes in a question, they think like, oh, I need to put that on my website. Oh, I need to put that on my website. And eventually what they do is they make this Alice in Wonderland journey instead of just land on the page. Is this what I want? Add it to cart. And you can make it very simple. And most of the time, the reason why sites don't convert well is because they're just not simple enough.
Yeah, yeah, you could. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Especially, I feel like because I've seen a I don't know why, but recently I've seen so many pages using the sticky CTA or the sticky banner, and for the mobile experience, it's so annoying, especially for mobile. And I
Yeah,
think it's 80 more than 80% of the sales
yeah,
are go through mobile. So if you're doing
yeah.
that, just cut it.
Don't do it.
Final
Yeah.
question. I feel like every marketer has their own favorite benchmarks and brands that you feel like they're doing it right. If you had to say your top favorite ones, which ones would they be for e-commerce?
Yeah, I have a favorite. It's Anson Belt. Um, just they're an amazing brand. They have they do millions of dollars in revenue every year, and the owner and his father still answer the phone and handle customer service. Uh, so they've never stopped having their pulse on the customer experience, and all the other parts of the business other people help them with that, but for them to take care of their customer. And I will say, of all the brands that we work with, that we have some that are doing 70 or 80 million a year, and the one thing that's congruent with all of them is the way that they treat their customers is second to none. Like the customer, no matter what, is always taken care of, even if you don't think they're right, they still do it anyways, and over time that just yields really good results.
I love that, and I was actually as you were talking, and it is interesting how they never change that. But then I also see you have a behind you you have a picture that says nothing changes if nothing changes. Is that what it says?
Yeah, yeah,
It's crazy how some things should not change like that, but if you don't change,
right,
nothing changes. And now I want to
right.
ask you something more personal to close because I want people to get to know you a little more. What have you changed in your life to become the person you are, and what brought you here? Like if I had to know what happened to the Matt in the past to become the Matt that we have now, who is just doing his own thing, building his own companies, helping companies out. Like, what is the thing that made you change? Because you could be in the path that everybody is. You could be in a 9 to 5. What brought you here?
Yeah, I would say, in all reality, for me, it was a healing journey. And so, growing up, I had some very traumatic experiences. And so, for me, learning how to love myself and give myself the healthy attention made a huge difference in how I connect with people, how we work with our clients, the results that we get, because in the end, people buy from people. And so when you can create a connection of know, like, and trust, and you do it from an authentic place, not a place of, I'm only going to show you the good parts of me. Uh, uh, I think being radically honest and showing all parts of yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly, people can relate to that. If all they see is the perfect part, then they don't, it doesn't feel real. And so I would say being able to give myself healthy attention so that I can share all of who I am, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, and creating relationships that last for a lifetime.
Wow, I love that. It really resonates with me. I got started with marketing with Alex Catoni. I was mentored by her
Oh, yeah,
as a
I'm friends with
copywriter.
her.
What?
I'm friends with her. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
I love her. I love her so much. And
Yeah.
that's, I was the type of person who, I remember my first job was, I was, I worked at a call center selling, and I did not believe in the product. I hated it. I hated being so pushy, but I was actually good. And I felt bad every time that I did good. It was like, I don't believe in this product. I feel bad by selling this. This is not this is not cool. This is not cool. But
Yeah.
when you believe in what you're doing and you feel like, hey, I can actually help someone else, and when you feel like this is actually why I work with supplements, because I have Hashimoto's, I have PCOS. I know the pains. And
Oh
sometimes I'm
yeah,
like, I wish I had that person before, when I didn't know that I had all of these issues, when I didn't know I had ADHD and nobody believed me. The doctors would like dismiss me completely. So I was like, if you do it from that side, when you care and you're like, hey, you can actually be, you can have some empathy, and marketing doesn't have to be ugly, and sales doesn't have to be ugly. In fact, you're actually
right.
helping someone else.
Yes,
But it's
agreed.
hard to make the click.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no. Finally, last question before we leave. Um, for any business owner out there listening to you, what would you tell them if you had to give them any piece of advice? It doesn't have to do anything with sales. It could be anything.
I would just say keep going. Business is hard and it is difficult, and you're going to have times that you want to quit. The truth of the matter is, usually those hard areas is what you have just before you have a breakthrough. And so a lot of times people quit just before they have the breakthrough. So what I would say is just get the mentality that you're willing to work harder, you're willing to work a little longer, you're willing to do it one more time, and don't give up, but keep trying. And in the end, when you do have those breakthroughs, it always makes it worth it.
I love it. Thank you so much, Matthew. It's been great having you on. For everybody else listening, this is the part when you pimp yourself out. Where can they find you if they want to connect with you or work with you?
Yeah, our website is buildgrowscale.com, and my email is matt@buildgrowscale.com. So for sure, take a look at our website. There's different ways that we can help you, or I'm happy to, if you send me an email, I'm happy to do a Loom video of your website and see where we could maybe point out some things that would help you make more sales.
Thank you so much. And for everybody listening out there, we're going to leave all of the links below. Thank you for listening. And Matthew, thank you for coming to the podcast. It's been great having you.
Thanks for having me. I love the conversation.